Welcome to my 2018-2019 curriculum reveal vlog. I'm so excited to show you guys what we are using for curriculum this year. I'm going to talk to you about Morning Basket and looping and my planner and my portfolio and everything that we are using in depth. Now, if you want to see inside absolutely every single resource and want to learn more about why we fell in love with that resource, then you need to come to my blog and search it, because you'll probably find a more detailed post there or on my Facebook page. Also, you guys, if you like what you see on this review, hit the subscribe button, because I want to see more of you right here. So I'm hoping that this will give you a really good idea of what works for our family. But again, do not take my word for it or feel like because we're using it that you need to be using it, okay? Everything's different for every family. So this is just my story. So first of all, let's talk about this little thing right here. This is called a traveler's notebook. It's basically a giant piece of leather with all my pens inside that is held shut with an elastic. That's simple. It has these elastics inside the spine that I can put various inserts into. Each of these inserts for me are separated by subject of my life. So I've got all sorts of different inserts in here that I use or will be using, and yeah, work. This is my summer school little insert, and then my brain dump insert, because I got a lot of stuff going on in my brain. So we're gonna turn to this one right here. I do have a better close up look through of my summer planner. If you want to see, that's on my Instagram, which is Homeschool On, and you can flip through and learn exactly how I set everything up. But I'm going to open it up more or less to give you an idea on here of what I do and how, and then I'm going to move on to our morning basket. So basically, I've set up different pages in here for supplies, my goals for the summer. I've done a quarterly pre-assessment for each of my children of their strengths, their weaknesses, what we want to work on. I have my Brave Writer routine. I have our writing projects that we're going to do with Brave Writer, and then I have my morning basket schedule. So I'm going to pause here and I'm going to open up my morning basket. What is a morning basket, you might ask? A morning basket is basically a basket that you do in the morning, and it's full of books. Simple, right? Everybody has something different that they do with it. Some people do their together curriculum in it. Some people do all the extra stuff that they want to fit in, like poetry and art and music. Some people, like myself, do looping and fit a whole bunch of different things, but not necessarily all on the same day. You decide how long you want to read, and you read. And it's a great way to start your day off without the pressure of book work. So it's kind of Charlotte Mason in philosophy. There's a ton of other resources out there to give you more insight. You can find more on my blog. I've done a podcast episode about it. However, the true expert is Pam Barnhill, and she has a website and she can walk you through. She actually sells full curriculum that you can use for Morning Basket. So I'm going to show you what we've done with ours. I love the flexibility of Morning Basket, and as you can see, I'm using a bin. I gotta break the mold, you guys. Whatever is expected, I shall do different. Okay, so inside, the first thing that you'll see is our read aloud. Right now we're doing The Wild Robot. I have a ton of great read alouds planned for this year, already purchased, sitting on my overflowing shelves, including books like A Wrinkle in Time, Where the Red Fern Grows. Oh my goodness, I have so many books. I can't even think of them all right now, but I have some really great ones. We just finished Little Pear, which I was shocked at how well that went over with my kids. This one is going over very well as well. They're loving it. So we read in our read aloud every day. That is one thing that we do. There's no looping. We choose a read aloud that we want to read, and we just read it until it's done. So I don't do any longer than about 20 minutes with my morning basket. I used to do an hour, and it was just way too much. So I've condensed it down to 20 minutes through looping. The next thing that I do is Bible, and this is how looping kind of works in a nutshell. I grab all the Bible resources that I want to pull from or use, and I put them all in my bin, so I have them. And then rather than reading this book till it's done, and then this book till it's done, and then this book till it's done, we're gonna loop them. So that means we read this one, and then the next day we would read something out of this one, and the next day we'd read something out of this one, and repeat. This allows my kids to not get bored with the same kind of format or same topics over and over and over again. I did show these in depth in my Master Books curriculum reveal. All of my Bible resources this year are from Master Books. So these are fantastic reads. This one's questions and answers. The kids love it. And this is more structured Bible teaching with questions as well. So we're using these 3 resources from Master Books and we loop them. So I don't say Monday we do this and Tuesday we do this. I just put it in an order of this to this to this, and we go through it sequentially. Does that make sense? The next thing in my morning basket is everything I have for social studies. So I've got my old reader in there. I've got these, and this is just what I'm using through the summer. It's gonna change. Now, if you were not aware, I am in Canada, so all of these resources for social studies are not what we're actually doing for history. We have something different we use for history, but this is what we do together in our morning, which is our Canadian social studies. So I actually have put together my own outline of, I'm gonna reach all outcomes. By outcomes, I mean what children should know about Canada from kindergarten to grade 5 in 1 year. So we're gonna go through a loop as well. And with this loop, I did something a little different. Rather than putting a book in a loop, I put topics in a loop. So I'm just gonna look in here because I forget what is on what day. Basically, it looks like Monday. All right, so I start off with immigration. So we read a book on immigration or a section on immigration. Day 2, so on Tuesdays, the next day, we do First Nations. On Wednesdays, we do government, and then we're gonna move on to geography after that. On Thursdays, we do biographies of famous Canadians. And then on Fridays, we are doing our kindergarten, grade 1, grade 2, community, families, needs versus wants, those kind of things on day 5. So it's more of a picture book style to help my younger kids make sure that they're meeting their outcomes as well. So these are all the different books that I'll be using through the summer. I basically put them all in here, page to page, what I need to read. I like to have a plan so I don't have to think first thing in the morning, because I don't think so well first thing in the morning. And then I just open and go and read what I'm supposed to. So for example, for immigration, for the summer, I'm going to be pulling from this book, and it's going to be alternating with this book. And the reason that I alternated it like this, and this book, sorry, I've got 3 of them, is because these are my 3 immigration books, and I want to give my kids, again, a lot of variety so they're not getting too bored. This one's a much heavier read than some of these other ones. These are stories of immigrants and how they came in and what their life was like before versus after. And these are also stories, and these are pretty intensive stories as well, and go into a lot of great discussions, questions. So Mondays would be this the first week, and then it would be this the second week, and it would be this the third week on our immigration day, and then recycled. So I've done a loop of topics rather than doing necessarily a loop of books, but we are looping our books as well. So my kids are getting all sorts of different things mixed in for their socials. Now I'm just gonna pull out some of these things. So our resources for the summer for our kindergarten unit on Fridays, kindergarten grade 1, are these 2 right here. And we're reading those on Friday. Our biography, we're starting off, there's a whole series of these from Scholastic Canadian Heroes. I got all of my Canadian social studies on Donna Ward, and the link will be below for any Canadian resources that you want. Wednesdays is our government day, and we're doing an online module study on our country's government. And then Tuesdays is our First Nations, and these are the 2 books that we're starting with for First Nation studies, and we are alternating these as well. So they're getting a really good glimpse of both the culture and history of the First Nation people, as well as talking about the displacement. And here we're talking about residential schools and our immigration to this country and what that looks like as far as the social impact on our culture. And so we talk in detail about that here, which is super fun to do with 6-year-olds and 4-year-olds and 8-year-olds. Never something I would have thought to cover at this age. I would have thought that's a little advanced, but I've been amazed at how my kids have risen to it and the questions they have. And I think it's really important to teach our kids about current events. So that is our morning basket. That's what it looks like. I just loop through. I'm literally reading maybe a page from here. I'm reading a chapter from here, and then maybe one reading from this, and it literally takes us 15 to 20 minutes, and I'm done my morning basket. So it's a great way of starting our morning off together with coffee, relaxed, before we move into our actual book work. All right, after we finished our morning basket, we all moved to the schoolroom table where it's time for math. I used to do my kids separately, where I would work one-on-one with each child, but unfortunately then I couldn't breathe because I could never leave my schoolroom, and so we're now doing school all together, and I'm trying not to lose my mind. So we do math together at the table, and my kids are all using kind of a variety of different math curriculums this year. So I'm going to show you what we're using for our, I'll start from youngest to oldest, I guess. My youngest is 4. She's going to be 5 this year. So she's going into kindergarten officially. She's not quite ready for it yet, but when she is ready, she will be starting off with math lessons for a living education, which is also by Master Books. And this goes through number recognition, simple addition, subtraction, and even goes into time and different things. So she's not ready for it yet. But when she is, I'm taking my cues from her, she'll be using math lessons for a living education. Next up, I have my 6-year-old who's going into grade 1, but is advanced. She's finishing this book right now and will be going into the level 2 book for the year when she's finished. So she's only got the summer and she'll be done this one. My next son is 8 and he is trying out the new Teaching Textbooks 3.0, which can be done on the iPad, which is awesome because I've got a whole bunch of them, and he can open up his Puffin browser and he can do his lessons on there, and it just takes one child out of the mix for me, and he seems to enjoy being able to do it independently. Right now, all my kids need me a lot, so that means a lot of waiting around for them, which can be a little frustrating for them and for me. So he is enjoying being able to do it more self-paced, and I'm enjoying one less kid to have to stay on top of. So that's my son. My next child is my daughter. She is 9, she's gonna be 10 this year, and she is using Right Start. Right Start is a very hands-on math program. It's also pricey, all right? I'm just saying from the very get-go, it's got an entire manipulatives kit that's over $200, and then you have your math program that is pricey as well. So, but it comes with card games that you play almost every single day, all your manipulatives, your scales, your shapes, and an abacus that they use a lot of. So they really get a good overview of hands-on together with written, together with lessons together with you. So she is excelling at it. It has been a fantastic program for her, but it is very parent intensive. So I definitely have to make sure that I'm fitting this in with her, but she has some major learning struggles. And so for her, this has been really effective to help her bring together both sides of her brain to really master and understand the concepts that she's learning rather than just learning it but not really making the connection. So she will be using Right Start for math this year. We are doing level C, and she's technically supposed to be going into grade 5. So this would be maybe about a grade 3 level. So we're getting there. We're getting there with our math, but I'm seeing huge improvement with her. So we're working on it through the summer, and then we'll be moving on and using it throughout the year as well. So the last child is my oldest, who is going to be 11 this year, and he should be going into grade 6 math. So he is finishing up his math 4 through the summer, and then he will be starting math 5 in the fall. So he's about a year behind in his math, but he is really enjoying math lessons for living education. So this is the program that he wants to go with for this year, and he's very excited about it. So math lessons for living education for 3 of our kids, Teaching Textbooks for my son, and Right Start for my daughter. And that seems to be what works for us, and it's just a little bit of juggling. It takes us about 45 minutes to fit our math in. Whew. All right, once we are finished with our math, we move on to our language arts, which is this hefty stack right here. And this isn't even all of it. So I'm just going to show you one of each child so you can get an idea of what we are using. My 2 boys are using Grammar Galaxy this year. So this is Nebula, the first one. My son is using the new 3rd one, my oldest is, and so they read stories once a week here, which are like secret mission, kind of save the galaxy, and really great adventure stories, building in comprehension and building in vocabulary, and then they are doing their workbook here. And this goes over not just grammar, but other things as well to really give them a comprehensive, fun look at language arts. So that is what both my boys are using. My oldest son is using these daily skill building vocabulary exercises, and we got this on with the Build Your Bundle, but I can give the link to you as well of where you can get it. And it's just very simple exercises of look up something in the dictionary, use it in a sentence, and then finding 3 synonyms and 3 antonyms. So the kids are learning how to use the dictionary and they're improving their vocabulary at the same time. So I enjoy adding this in. It's really fast, and both actually my oldest daughter and oldest son are using that. So here's my son's. He lost his front page, but they're just great. There's 3 levels available. We are all using Spelling You See as well. I cannot get over Spelling You See's approach to spelling. It's very similar. It is Brave Writer in its approach. Thomas Jefferson Education, Charlotte Mason, all of those things. It is copywork, learning spelling through copywork. But copywork I don't have to find and all laid out for me. So we are loving Spelling You See, and we'll be using it again for this year. We're waiting for our new books to arrive, which they should any day, and we are so excited about them. Then we have Foundations Phonics. This is what we are using for my daughter who's going into kindergarten at a very relaxed rate because she is behind, and so I want to make sure that I'm going at her pace and not having to follow what I have to follow. Then we are trying out Language Lessons for a Living Education for Master Books. This is a phenomenal language arts program. It is very Charlotte Mason. It incorporates stories, poems, psalms, spelling, vocabulary, grammar, punctuation, writing, as well as reading, picture studies, and it's fantastic. Memorization. It has everything in here. They make their own sentences. They draw pictures. It is Charlotte Mason in the fact that it is no busy work. They're doing 1 or 2 pages a day. It takes them, maybe 10, 15 minutes, which is exactly what Charlotte Mason recommends for the younger grades, rather than having to do this highly intensive 30 or 40-minute program. So it's easy for me to add in. I'm using this with my daughter, who is technically grade 1, but more advanced and working at a grade 2 level. I could also be using this for my son, who is grade 4, but behind, and I think he would really do well with this. And then as soon as Language Lessons for Living Education 3 comes out, I probably will be getting that for my daughter, who is 9 and behind as well, because I think it's going to be a really good fit for her. So with this, it's laid out very, very easily, open and go, and it's a great program. Fantastic. So we are really enjoying this, and it's very comprehensive and has everything that we need included, and it's been great. So that's what we're using for my daughter, and we're excited to see level 3 when it comes out. The last thing that we're using, and this is for my daughter who, like I said, has some learning challenges, is an amazing program I found online that was written by a child's therapist, and it's called Visualizing and Verbalizing, and I have an entire box. This is the step that we're on right now, and it's to help my daughter. She's not seeing the big picture. She's a very hard time with her memory, and she has a very hard time verbalizing and explaining things in a way that makes sense to other people. So when I open this up right now, the step that we're on is that she has to look at a picture, and I say the word and show her the picture, and then I take it away. She has to visualize it in her mind, and then she has a whole bunch of different prompting questions to help her remember and build the picture in her mind, so that she's starting to work on that. The next step is that I give her a word and she has to make the picture herself. The next step is she would look at a picture and have to verbalize it herself. So it's just a program helping her build those connection points, and is phenomenal. So she is doing this right now for language arts, more or less just to work on her thinking, her critical thinking, her memory, and her language skills. And then we will probably be moving into language lessons for Living Education 3 when it comes out, which should be the end of summer. So that is our language arts. All right, the next subject that we do in our day, so we've done our math from about 9 to 9:45. We've done our language arts until about 10:30, and now we move on to science. So our science this year, we're using Science Shepherd for my younger 3 kids. So I guess my middle 3 kids. I'm using this with my daughter who's 6, my son who is 8, and my daughter who is 9. And so they have a workbook and it's online video lessons. They watch 3 to 5 minute video and then they do a little circle the right answer or match the right answer. Very, very, very simple. And it is a total introduction to all sciences. So this is a fantastic program just to give them a basic foundation of science, and they did some of it last year and they are excited to keep going with it for this year. So that is what they're using. And then my 11-year-old this year is going to be using master books, and they just redid their God's Design series, and it's got 3-in-1, the human body, the world of plants, and the world of animals, as well as, of course, with master books, you get the teacher's guide that has the daily schedule and your worksheets and your quizzes and everything that you need to complete the program. So I've put those pages into a binder for my son, and this is just a great curriculum that he gets to read and learn, and he's really been enjoying it. So this is what he chose to do this year for science. All right, you guys, now we are ready to move on to our world history, our social studies section of our morning. Now, during this time, my 9-year-old daughter does not participate with us at this moment. She could have done the world story along with us, but because school is so challenging for her, I give her that time off and she works on her violin and or cooks or bakes something or watches her little sister. And meanwhile, I work with my 3 middle children during that time, or my 2 middle children and my oldest son. So my oldest son chose to do the world story. This is by Angela Odell. It does come with a teacher's guide as well that has your worksheets and everything else built into it. I've ripped out pages and put them into his binder so that he's got all his science and socials in one. It's full of pictures, it's living book, and very, very interesting. It's designed for grades 6 to 8. It starts off, this does creation to the Roman Empire, it goes to the Middle Ages, and then it goes to the modern age, explores to the present day, and is just a fantastic history program. So he's really enjoying this. It's from Master Books. And then I'm doing with my 6-year-old and my 8-year-old together. They both have one of these because they are consumable resources. They're both doing My Story 1, which is amazing. It is so, so fun. It's got pictures to color. It's written very well. It starts off with community and it works up to taking them to history, politics, sociology, economics, and geography around the world. So they explore different countries, they learn about different continents, and it's got journals and review and word searches and coloring pages and tons of pictures, and it's just a fantastic social studies program. So that is what I'm doing for social studies and history. All right, so after we finished our math and our language arts and our science and our socials, we finish up around 11:30. My kids get to play outside for a little bit. I make lunch. We eat lunch, we clean up, and around 1 o'clock we reconvene at the table for poetry tea time. And I am doing poetry tea time year-round this year and every single day. So we're not actually alternating the time. We're doing poetry tea time together, whether we have tea or not, and sitting together and doing a second looping basket. This is allowing me to fit in some of the more fun stuff I wanted to do, as well as our Brave Writer time. So we're finished with our workbooks, we pull out the tea and or hot chocolate, and we work through what's in this basket. Now my schedule alternates for this. I allowed each of my kids to make their own journal. So you can see here, we've got journals that they've made and decorated and painted, and they open these up, and this is what they do everything that we do in our poetry tea time in. So it's a mixture of things like our free writes, it's got nature journaling and art. Everything that we learn about is here. So it's really quite a mixed bag, but we are really enjoying working in our own journals. They pull these out, so we have these set up in the middle of the table. I have art supplies in here that I pull out and put in the middle of the table, and we work through a loop of what we cover. So the first thing is every single afternoon we do our map work and geography. So I have an atlas and some map books in here. I got these from Donna Ward as well, so the link will be below, and my kids work through and do their map work first. So once they're done their map work, we have poetry alternating with Shakespeare, alternating with whatever else we're doing. And then we also have a third kind of loop, just like I do Bible and socials and a read aloud in our morning basket. In our afternoon basket, we alternate with poetry or what we're reading, and our Brave Writer section, which is either our free write or a writing project or whatever we're doing for Brave Writer. And then I alternate a third activity. So for our third activity, I have all sorts of different tools in here for nature journaling. And this, I would send my kids outside. They would fill these plates with some things they want to sketch about or learn about, and we would do nature journaling one day. Maybe the next day I bought how to teach your child Shakespeare. So maybe we would do Shakespeare. The next day, maybe we would work on our phonology wheel. We're going to be building one of these. We also have this year that we can work on, which is exploring nature with children, which is also where I got my resource for the phonology wheel. And so this would incorporate well with our nature journaling. While the kids are doing their nature sketches, we could be talking about this. We also alternate it with our picture study, and we alternate it with art. And the other thing that we include is a music study, which I'm so excited about. I'll post the link below. It takes like 15 minutes. It's all online, and it is a fantastic resource for your kids to help learn about different styles, types of music, music history, composers, all sorts of different things. So there's a ton of resources. I'll post the link to that. And then we do our Brave Writer loop. So for our Brave Writer loop, my kids work in here. I've already set up in my planner what writing projects we're going to be working on this month. So they do their free write. We work on our writing projects together. We do our poetry daily and our read alouds in our morning. We also do copy work. I'm going to be using one of the arrows that we will read and do our copy work and do the lessons based off of. And we're going to be doing our Brave Writer loop in the afternoons with our tea alongside all this other stuff. Isn't that exciting? So it actually only takes us about half an hour. The other thing that we include in our Poetry Tea Time loop is current events. So current events is every Wednesday, and then I get my husband actually to come in, and he shows them pictures of something on the news, and we talk about how that affects us, things that are happening around the world, things that are happening in our country, and I really feel like that was important to add. So our afternoon loop, I wanted to keep it separate from our morning basket because it's way too much to do all together. Our afternoon loop is a little more hands-on and interactive than our morning. Our morning loop is no actual hands-on at all. The kids just get to sit back, snuggle their blankets, and listen. In the afternoon, they're painting, they're drawing, they're writing, they're doing map work, we pull out our globe, and they're doing a lot more. So it's a lot more interactive in our afternoon. And once we're finished that, which can take us anywhere from half an hour to an hour, depending on how much we're doing in our afternoon, then we're done school. So we finish school at about 2 o'clock, and the last thing that we do before we finish is fill out our story of our homeschool. So this is the story of our homeschool. I literally had it stamped in the front. It's again another leather folio that's been, you know, much used and loved. But unlike my other one, all it does is hold a notebook, and it is refillable, so I can take this out and put another one in. And I got a high quality art sketch notebook that we can use. And this is our portfolio. So this is where we're going to keep track of the different things we're learning about, draw pictures, and we can look through it and have this record, not of something I've written, but of something my children have written of what they've learned. So we started off with this, and it wasn't quite what I wanted it to be. So just in the last couple weeks, I've been going a little bit more into it, and you can see some examples. I'm basically doing bullet journaling, as our style of record keeping for our homeschool. So I'm even putting in my son's little book report sheets, which this is a free printable on my site and can help your kids keep track of what they're reading, but also the main characters, the plot, the setting, and then maybe they can go back and choose one to do a report on every month or so. But this just gives you an idea. There's lots of different styles and ways of doing it. It's a lot of fun. The kids are enjoying keeping track of what they're doing, just little pictures that they've drawn. And at the end of the year, we're gonna have this beautiful portfolio that we can look through of what we learned and telling the story of our homeschool. So that's it. That is all of the resources that we are using in a nutshell. I have not shown you everything. I have not shown you what different books we're doing for our read alouds, but I will be posting about it throughout the year. And we are so excited with what we've chosen. We're so excited with how well it's been working. We've already been doing it for a few weeks. It seems like it's going to be an awesome year. And I have a great blend of some programs that offer us structure, but also the freedom and flexibility to do some of the other things that are important to me and are fun and are life-giving in our homeschool, like nature journaling and music studies and art and all sorts of different things that give us that experience and allow us to step outside the box of just being bound to our curriculum. If you want to see more, go and check out my blog, homeschoolon.com. There's a full post about all of this with pictures and more details of my setup and looping and morning basket. And if you have any other questions, just stick a comment underneath and I will reply as soon as I possibly can. And otherwise, I hope you guys have an amazing homeschool and an amazing time planning your homeschool year for next year.